Hey, I'm Scott Jones from eMeals, and you're listening to Real Food for Real Life. On this episode, I talk with Jan Miller, executive editor of Better Homes and Gardens magazine. As part of the food team, Jan is a nutrition specialist and oversees the special interest media for the magazine. Jan and I talk about the concept of lifestyling. Now, this includes a focus on using more whole ingredients and less processed food, but adds this layer around how you eat and who you eat your meals with, and how that contributes to your overall well-being. Now, before we get to the interview, I have a few housekeeping items. First, send us your questions and comments. We read all of them. And if you have a suggestion for a future guest or a potential topic, I'd love to know that too. You can find us on Twitter at eMeals using the hashtag AskEmeals. We also have an email address. It's community@emeals.com. If you don't already subscribe to our podcast, subscribe today. It's simple to do. You can find us at itunes.com/podcast/Real Food for Real Life. And while you're there, leave us a review. And finally, if you'd like more information on eMeals and our variety of meal plan food styles, you can find us at emeals.com. Try any of our meal plans free for 2 weeks, be it paleo, clean eating, or gluten-free. You can even have your shopping list sent directly to Walmart pickup at no charge, so your groceries are waiting for you. That's it. On with the show. Hey, Jan, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to Real Food for Real Life. We're super excited to have one of the stars of one of the most trusted magazines in America, Better Homes and Gardens, on our show. So you guys cooking up anything fun in the test kitchens there today?
Oh my gosh, we're always cooking up something fun. We've got a million irons in the fire today. Yes, we're working on the Red Plaid cookbook, that's a conversation for another date. But that cookbook is a year-long process, and it is on fire today.
Awesome. And when's that supposed to hit the bookshelves?
That will come out fall of 2018, so in September.
Fantastic.
So we're coming right down to our deadlines.
Fantastic. Well,
exciting.
I know that's a kind of a redo of your classic cookbook, right?
It is. And this year is going to be a total, we've just taken it all apart and putting it back together in every sense of the word. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to see it. Well, we'll just kind of jump right in. We're all coming out of that New Year's rush where I feel like every headline, whether it's on a website or a magazine, is all about dieting, and you just hear all kinds of stuff. So I'd just like to get your perspective, both as a respected food editor, but also as an RD. Like, what do you make of all these diets that are out there today, from keto to paleo to who knows what? Just like, what do you see from your perspective?
You know what? That is such a good question. I feel like what we are seeing is that we're moving away from trying to follow specific diets and really moving towards a term that I've seen lately called lifestyling. And it's more about making changes that you feel like you can maintain through your life. And it definitely encompasses more than just what you eat and what you put on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for the last maybe 5 years, we've started to move this way, where your sense of well-being has to do with how your health is, and food plays a role in that. So beyond just trying to get to more whole ingredients and less processed food, we're talking about how you eat and who you share your meals with, and how does that contribute to your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say we're trying to get away from maybe some of the negative connotations that diets make us think about, restricting things, taking things off of our list, and maybe into more of a role of what what does food do to help me? How do I feel better when I eat certain things? And if I eat this way, will I feel better? Now, having said that, I will tell you that we're guilty on the newsstand every January. We do an issue called Eat Well, Lose Weight. And I've been watching that title, just watching to make sure that sales are still, viable, because we're worrying about this very thing. Are people concerned about, or is there backlash on the word diet, which we definitely never include there. But I just thought maybe it's just too blatant. Maybe we need to go to something else. But sales are still good. So it does lead me to believe that we don't want to follow these restricted diets, but we still are working to try to make sure that we're our best selves. So we still want to get to a good weight. We still want to eat healthfully in order to achieve a goal, but it's not like we used to.
Yeah, and I would agree. We see the same thing here at eMeals, whether it's through our editors or our customer success team. It's really striking that balance in terms of how we are interacting with our subscribers, because you have some that call and are looking for, we have 15 different meal plan food styles that folks can choose from, but you have people that want that meal plan that's going to help them lose 20 pounds next week. It's like, so, it's like striking that balance between how do you, just because I feel like in the media that it's all about the outward appearance many times, and how you get to that X weight as quickly as possible, versus something that sounds like you're talking about, and it's certainly something we stress in our meal plans, which is, it's really about your health and well-being on the inside, and it's a lifestyle that happens 12 months a year versus some kind of like crash restrictive diet where you're starving yourself to get to, drop 30 pounds in 2 weeks, which I think we would all agree is not necessarily a healthy approach to living, either internal or external.
And not a long-term solution either. We see that so much, that those diets that you do for a quick hit are you're not able to really maintain that weight loss for a long period of time. So I think that is the other appeal about the whole lifestyle shift, is like trying to achieve things that within your life that you can do and you can control, and not set yourself up for something that maybe is unachievable, depending on where you are in your life and what's happening. Sometimes that influences what we can and cannot accomplish too.
Yeah, and I would also just ask you to maybe go one step deeper, and when it comes to this just kind of overall sense of well-being, what other kinds of things are you stressing that go beyond just the dinner table?
Well, we're even seeing, and this still is slightly connected to your dinner table, but even, what you eat maybe might impact how you sleep. And we certainly have seen research that's showing if you don't get adequate sleep, sometimes that is a deterrent for weight loss. And so there's a lot of, who would have thought 10 years ago that if we didn't get enough sleep, that might be what's hindering us in our ability to lose that last 10 pounds. But there's some interesting research coming about, and so that's another area that we have touched on lately.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that. We had a guest on a few episodes back, and they were saying that research shows that just 1 or 2 nights of interrupted sleep can make you as insulin resistant as a type 2 diabetic. I was blown away.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It really is. So sleep is important.
Yeah, I guess you've got to, I covet my sleep just because I like to be refreshed, and I'm like an early morning guy, but and I try and stress this to my kids that, that's when your body is healing. You not only do you need that time just to relax, but that's when your body goes into like healing mode as well. And trying to, I know they think I'm, kind of, an old fuddy-duddy when I'm, going to bed at 10 o'clock because I don't want to stay up all night. But I'm like, you really need to, sleep is like that magic pill almost.
Oh my gosh, that's so true, and especially those, kiddos, their brains are growing and changing so much, even into their teen years. I just read a book about the teenage brain, and it was fascinating and scary all at the same time because I'm a 15-year-old. But that is so important for them as well. And the whole, we laugh about teenagers sleeping a lot, but they certainly need it too for their overall health and well-being and the development of their brain as they get into their early 20s. So I've backed off a little bit on how much sleep, and I try to encourage my teenager to get to bed earlier. But although the challenges that go with that.
Yeah, that's another conversation. We'll revisit that topic after we have you back on to talk about the new cookbook. How about that?
I'd love that. Sure, that'd be great.
So as we head into 2018, just across your team there, what kind of food trends are you seeing? Obviously, there's this focus on overall well-being, but just in terms of food, what are some of the new things that you guys are seeing or hearing from your readers or seeing out in the marketplace?
Well, we still are seeing that there's such a big focus on protein and alternate proteins. I think as we've started back into this new cookbook, we've always included meatless items, but now there's so many more things that you can talk about, whether it's seitan or tempeh, and there's so many alternate proteins that are done so much better now than maybe 10 years ago as well. And so we're seeing a lot of focus on that. And people are not necessarily, although I hate to say it, I would say the vegetarian word creeps up a lot more today for us than it used to. But there's also so many folks that are just wanting to reduce the amount of meat they eat, and so they choose selectively how much, and maybe one day they'll do an alternate and more of a plant-based protein just to help lighten the load. So we do see that. And then the whole functional food, and I won't beat this to death, but I do think that we're looking at our food as a means to help us either keep our blood pressure low, help us sleep better, eat for anti-inflammation. We're looking at food as a medicine almost, but we still enjoy it a lot. It's kind of a nice way to help your body because we love the flavor of some of these things that are very good for us. And so that is a great trend that we love because it's a good way to help people really increase a lot of their fruits and vegetables too. And those aren't going away, and that seems like maybe it's even passing the trend stage for us. If that feels like a lifestyle thing, for a long time we've been talking about people saying that we have a food factor study at Better Homes and Gardens that we do every 2 years, and that was the number one way that people said that they were working to improve their health, and that was to increase their consumption of more fruits and vegetables. And it didn't matter across what age or income level. That was a very unifying response. That's how people see eating more healthfully. That's an easy way to do it. So we are all about fresh and keep trying to incorporate fresh into our recipes for sure.
Yeah, and we see that too. We have we have 15 different meal plans, and one of our most popular plans is our budget-friendly plan, and we really work hard to make recipes that are approachable and easy, but really hit a certain target for the weekly grocery spend. And we see that feedback from subscribers that continue to want to incorporate fresh, more wholesome ingredients, because I think, in maybe years past, the whole notion of budget was just about, not necessarily the healthiest, convenient, shelf-stable packages that was just, quick and cheap. And now we even see in our subscriber base that people at every income level are really putting a premium and a higher value on things that are good for them, regardless of what they're able to carve out for their weekly grocery spend or monthly grocery spend.
Yes, I would agree 100%.
And I find that, frankly, just as a foodie, and I think you would agree, is that's always good when When we're looking for ways to heal ourselves through food rather than, through medicine, that's always a good thing, because not only are you doing something that you love, you're eating, but you're also eating things that are both, healthful and satisfying.
Right. Agree 100%.
So as someone who's, working hard and probably burning the candles at both end and trying to feed a 15-year-old, what are some of your strategies for, keeping balance, not only, around the, meals, but also just overall in your lifestyle? What are some of the things that you've adopted?
Well, I feel really strongly about planning. I just don't think that you can succeed at trying to juggle a lot or balance without planning, and that really is important for me and my husband and my daughter. My husband is a terrible snacker, and I think if you all have a little conversation within yourself about what your real self falls back on, what's your bad habits? It's easy as your motivated self, like January 1 or January 2, you're saying, okay, I'm going to do all these new things. But you have to step back and say, okay, what's my old self? What do I fall back to? Because you have to make sure that you plan to catch yourself and to prepare for the things that you typically would do. So my poor husband's going to get it here, but he is a snacker, and he's so guilty of going to the pantry and opening a bag of something crunchy. Because it's easy and it's automatic, and he wants that satisfaction now. So I plan ahead, and when I have time and I'm cutting up carrots and celery, or in the summer when it's a watermelon, I cut the whole thing up and put it in tubs so that there is something that's instantaneous that's good for him in the fridge that he can then go to instead of opening a bag of something that maybe is less of a good choice.
Yeah.
And for me, it's, in the morning, I'm not the best breakfast person. And so I have to plan, what am I going to do to make sure that I have a breakfast that I can grab on my way out the door, and maybe that's the first thing at my desk. And then I carry lots of seasonal fresh fruit, and I carry things that are the easy peel. Bananas, that's just like opening a package of something, and an easy peel clementine in the winter. So I try to have those things that I feel like are easy, because ease for us is a big deal. I also, back to my planning, I shop. I'm one of those Saturday morning shoppers, and that's a routine of mine, but I like to say, okay, I'm going to purchase these proteins for the week, and I kind of have an idea in my brain about what I think I'm going to do. And then I always plan for knowing one of the nights is just not going to go as I anticipated. And so I always plan for the backup for that. You just know that there's going to be a wrench in your plan some way. You can't always catch that. But then I always try to have an idea. It's like, okay, if I don't get something thought, or if I don't have time to put this together, what's my backup? And whether it's, it's going to be a frittata because it's eggs for dinner, breakfast for dinner, which a lot of times is my fault. My fault. I go back to that, and which is a good healthy meal too. So those are some of the key things I think that I do with my family. Yeah,
and I would agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of science around the whole idea that every good goal either lives or dies on planning. And certainly here at eMeals, we're a meal planning company, and that's what we do. But I think the expectation is that we help people through our meal plans eat healthier. But what we also know from data is that not only are people eating healthier when they have a plan, but we know that they're also saving money. We know that our average subscriber saves over $1,000 a year just because they have a plan, and they know what they're going to the store to purchase, and so it really limits that impulse buying, or when you're just kind of walking up and down the aisles, like, I wonder what I want tonight, and you're just kind of randomly filling your cart with things that you think might go together, but there's not a lot of real glue to hold it together as something that
Yeah.
you can do for the whole week, right? And then we also know that when you have a plan that even in our like hyper busy schedules, that families are more inclined to sit down and enjoy a meal together, which again
Right.
is healthy for the mind. And there are a lot of statistics around actually how much more healthy a meal is when it's enjoyed with family and you're sitting down and you're not rushing and you're having conversation. So, those are all of those added benefits around, having a meal plan. And, in full disclosure to those listeners who don't know, eMeals has partnered with Better Homes and Gardens, and we have a Better Homes and Gardens meal plan where you have those, top rated recipes that you see in the magazine that are available in that meal plan in the app. And it just makes the whole process of inspiration so much easier because you've got these amazing Better Homes and Gardens recipes. So that inspiration's done for you. And then, with the app, you press a button and the shopping list is created for you. So that takes that time consuming part of it. And actually now, we've integrated so you can have your groceries either delivered or picked up with, in our app with Walmart and Instacart and Kroger Click List and Amazon Fresh. So, to your point, we can also have created a process and an ability for subscribers to even, skip the grocery store altogether. I mean, I don't know if you've ever used the Walmart grocery pickup, but like the ability to just drive your car up and have them put the groceries in your car is pretty incredible. I mean, my wife is addicted to that. It's just, it makes it so easy. It really does.
I love that. I keep trying to encourage my parents because I think it's a great service for, the elderly too, as they get to the point where maybe they don't want to make that trip all around the store. And,
sure.
And if I was a young mother, let me tell you, I would have used that service in a heartbeat because that's a tough thing when you've got kids in tow. It's hard to keep your head about you as you're trying to plan as you go through the shopping aisles. And it's a great service. I think that you are truly a one-stop shop. So
what's interesting is there's a mom that lives a few houses down with young ones who are still in car seats, and I remember talking to her about about Kroger and Walmart having the ability for you to just drive up and get your groceries. And she said, "You mean I don't even have to get the kids like out of the car? I just have to pull up?" Because, I forget, it's been a while since I had kids in car seat, but the whole idea of getting one or two kids out of car seats into the store, get the groceries back in the car, get the kids back in the car seats. It's like it's a monumental task. And,
it is.
I'm all about getting the groceries delivered to my front door. I mean, that's great. But, to be able to go to Walmart and have it done for free for them to just put the stuff in my car is pretty great. And again, just, I know for my wife as well, really helps her be able to, get her meals together, push it through to Walmart and pick a time to swing by and pick it up. And she's also not having to lug that, 20-pound carton of cat litter through the store or the 50-pound bag of dog food in addition to whatever we're going to eat for the week. So before we go, Jan, I'd have to ask, because I know you guys are coming out with kind of a pressure cooker, slow cooker book, this faster, slow recipes. And, I'm a long time fan of pressure cookers. And my wife and I, we really get dinner on the table many nights of the week, year round, with the help of a slow cooker. But I feel like this whole Instant Pot, / pressure cooker thing is just like a juggernaut right now. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah. And you guys are obviously seeing it because you're putting out a cookbook. We're seeing it because we're including more, Instant Pot and pressure cooker recipes in our meal plans. And we actually have a meal plan that's dedicated to slow cookers, but people are still wanting even more. So, what do you make of this whole thing?
I think it's great. The whole thing with the Instant Pot is you still have to plan, but maybe you don't have to plan that you do a brisket on a weekend, because it takes so long to cook. Or if you don't quite have a morning that's conducive to putting something in a slow cooker that you want to let cook all day, you still can get dinner on the table pretty quickly by putting something in your Instant Pot when you get home from work. So that was our drive behind the book, is each recipe could be done either in a pressure cooker or a slow cooker, and it gives the reader the choice depending on what your day is or how your plan is or what your, even for the weekends. It's nice sometimes to tuck something in a cooker and let it go, or to not think about having to think about things for too long. But it is everywhere, and I know that the Instant Pot, yes, opened this whole world up, but I feel like it's going to become like the slow cooker, whereas maybe it's just going to be the word for multifunction cookers, because there's so many different companies also jumping into the market, and so you're going to have quite a wide choice of who's making an Instant Pot like appliance. And for me, that's a sign that it's here to stay for quite a while. And I don't think it's a fly-by-night. I think it's a great thing, and they're so not scary to use. I remember as a youngster when my mom would put the pressure cooker on the stove, when the weights would rattle on the top of the pressure cooker, I'd run through the kitchen in between because it was terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
That thing was going to blow up.
Yeah.
But they're so wonderful. Even the stovetop pressure cookers are so easy to use.
Yeah, they are. Very safe.
Now. And then these multifunction cookers, you could do have a slow cooker, you can have a rice cooker all in one cooker, and that's pretty awesome too. So we love the trend, and we're embracing it as well. It's nice to have another appliance to play with.
Yeah, no kidding. We were
the slow cookers really had the field for a long time.
Yeah, and just to your point, the multifunctionality is mind blowing. We our test kitchen director was fooling around with some recipes a couple of weeks ago, and I really wasn't. I was doing something else, and I walked through the test kitchen, and she had out this platter of these really gorgeous looking hot wings. And I thought I was down at the the hot wing place. It was beautiful, and I thought, when in the world did she make these? And she said, I made these in an Instant Pot, and it took 10 minutes to make the chicken.
Yeah.
I took the top off, put it into saute mode, and then browned them up, put in the sauce. And I thought, holy smokes, you mean I can have this? And anyway, I mean, even as a chef, I'm constantly reminded how revolutionary some of these appliances are. And, if you just take the time to read the manual and just figure out how to really, use the maximum convenience that these things have, they can really improve your even if you hate cooking, they can make cooking a little more enjoyable because you're not having to do as much of it, but they also just open up an array of things that you can prepare on a weeknight that you may never have thought you could do before.
Absolutely true. Absolutely. I will be honest, in full disclosure, I've yet to purchase one, but I took one home from the test kitchen a couple of weekends ago, and I did things like cook a big batch of steel cut oats so I can, help myself eating breakfast every day. That was one of my, portable breakfasts every day. And it just was wonderful. I did a pork roast in it, pork shoulder, and very easy to use. So I'm sold.
well, great. I'm glad to hear that because I sure know that we're hearing that same thing. And I have to say that I'm a big fan of braised short ribs, and what you can do either in a pressure cooker or particularly in a Instant Pot where you can saute them, brown them off first. It's redefined my whole thought around how many times a year I can have braised short ribs. If my doctor would not be listening to this podcast, I would tell you that I'd eat them twice a week if I could. But
okay, we'll keep that secret.
Well, Jen, listen, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure connecting with you, and again, just hearing from someone from Better Homes and Gardens, which is just such a iconic, lifestyle magazine, but particularly for the food. And just thanks so much for your time, and really hope that you'll come back maybe later this fall when the cookbook's out, and we can dive into that a little bit.
Oh, I would love to. I enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me, Scott.
Thanks, Jan. You've been listening to Real Food for Real Life. Subscribe today and you'll never miss another episode. You'll also have access to past episodes with terrific guests ranging from cookbook authors to paleo experts, to clean eating experts, to fitness pros. You can find us at itunes.com/podcast/Real Food for Real Life. And when you subscribe, be sure to leave us a review. You can also find us on other popular podcast apps like Stitcher and Google Play Music. If you have questions about this episode or our podcast, feel free to email me at community@emeals.com, or you can tweet them to me at emeals using the hashtag #AskEmeals. To get more information on eMeals and our variety of meal plans, visit us at emeals.com. Until next time, I'm Scott Jones. Thanks for listening.